bottom? I don't know if they got a quorum. 5:59, huh? Boy, you're tough. It's time to go south, ain't it? It's time to go down to Belize or somewhere, ain't it?
Finance and Budget Committee is called to order. Willie Lemming will lead, Mr. JP, excuse me, Willie Lemming will lead us in the prayer and pledge.
If you will, rise. Father, we just want to thank you for the many blessings you give each and every one of us each and every day. Father, just be with us as we conduct county business tonight, and Lord, just put it on our heart what you think we need to be saying. We ask all these names in your Son's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I guess first thing I'll do is declare we have a quorum. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda? Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The agenda has been adopted. All right. Our first reports for tonight are Treasurer Bobby Hill.
Hello, everybody. I didn't shake your hand, bud. 4.1, Treasurer Summary. As usual in January, there's just not a ton of revenue that comes in, so most accounts, the expenditures came in over the revenues. If you look at the bottom of the next page, we began the year at $37.8 million, and we ended January $34.4 million in the bank. 4.2, the jail quarter cent tax, $932,000 came in. That was a 7.25% increase over last year. And I was looking at the DFNA website about the e-shopping, because January 2019, the Marketplace Fairness Act hadn't been enacted, but it has now, so it doubled. It went from 104,000 collections to 209,000 for Washington County as a whole. These are November numbers, so they include like Black Friday and stuff, but Cyber Monday and the Christmas, that will be next month. 4.3, same percentage, 7.25%, 685,000 came in. It's 46,000 over the same time last year. And the half-cent road tax, a more modest growth of 4.4% for 152,000 that came in for the road fund. That's all I have on the reports. I'll take questions on this, or if anybody's got anything on that 27th payroll. Anything? Oh.
Revenue keeps rolling in. All right, Mr. Nelson Driver.
Good evening, everybody.
the employee insurance fund is still remaining healthy. We ended up the month of January with $3,073,000 plus is the balance in the health fund. And I checked the balance of it this afternoon, and we're still over $3 million. We're at $3,013,000 presently. We've had one large claim that we've been notified of by the excuse me, by the third-party administration services. That's approximately right now is at about $63,000. And this is one that we're gonna get hit. We're gonna get this one every year. It's an ongoing situation. I don't expect this one to hit the threshold to take it to excess, which is at $175,000 for the county. But things are remaining stable with the fund, and at this point, I don't anticipate recommending any changes from the funding mechanism to the fund. We're pretty much staying with an even keel.
Are there any questions? Just keep us over 3 million, and that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Try my best.
All right, Mr. Shannon Worthen, Comptroller's report.
Okay, 6.1 is the unappropriated reserve balance report. Since there weren't any ordinances in January, it started and ended the month the same. Then 6.2, we should be after 1 month at 8.3%, but we're up a little bit higher because there was 3 pay periods in January, but that should level out later. And the only one that's a little bit out of the ordinary is general services, 118, they're at 31.5% because of our Arkansas Association of Counties insurance was paid in January for the year, and in that account they take all the general liability insurance for the general fund in their account, and the other parts of that insurance were road and jail for the general liability insurance. And then the total bill for the insurance was about $500,000, so that's why everything is up a little bit. And then for general fund, overall at 10.7%, and then including all the special revenue funds. Over on the last page, we're at 11.2%. So that's all I have.
Are there any questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Worthen. All right, our next item on the agenda is item 7, ordinance changing the title of deputy coroner in the county coroner's budget for 2020. Most of you were here last night and we discussed that. It will take a little bit of money out of unappropriated reserves to go on and do this. And I think we need to go on and do it, but I still have some reservations. I think we need these things in the budget for the previous year. Let's not hold things over and bring them into the new year and ask for new positions. I think we knew at the time that this position was going to be needed, and therefore, but I do suggest that we go on and pass this.
Madam Chair.
Is there any discussion? Okay, Sue
Thank you.
J.P. Sue Madison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we send this on to the quorum court with the recommendation to pass it.
All right. We have any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passed. All right. We're on number 8, an ordinance recognizing additional revenue in the jail fund in the amount of $16,298.06 and an appropriating the amount of $16,280.06 from the jail fund to the jail operating and maintenance budget for 2020. This is money that was sent to them by SWEPCO for doing energy conservation issues. They did several and were rewarded with this money.
I'll make a motion, we send it to the quorum court to pass.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. Okay, did we? Yes, we did. Okay. Okay. Do you want to explain number 9, Mr. Worthing, why we are appropriating this since it was in the budget? Or it didn't make it into the budget? That was the problem.
Yeah, it was due to a formula error on the budget spreadsheet, and I didn't catch it till a couple of weeks ago, and none of y'all caught it, and even the individual departments they're supposed to review their budget didn't catch it. So this is to fix that error, and it totals $130,517, and it adds about 0.2% to the budget. So it's 130,000 out of 74 million, but it's a mistake that happened, but it's hard to be 100% accurate for a budget that has about 10,000 entries, so it's a mistake I made and didn't catch.
All right, so this was voted on and approved. It just was not in the budget when we voted on it. So
Where are we at?
we're on number 9.
That's $39,468, how we get $130,000?
I didn't,
Well, it's the number 10 is the similar error. 9 and 10 were the two errors that I caught.
okay, 9, it wasn't in the budget. Let's do 9 first and vote on it, and then let's do 10. Okay, this was a veterans service budget. Do I hear a motion to pass this on to the quorum court? All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion sent to the quorum court. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
excuse me. He never even explained 9, and we just voted on it. Do I understand that there were 2 errors made, just forgotten and left out of the budget?
We're doing these one at a time. Yes, there were 2. We're doing 9. He says it was a mistake in his computer programming. He thought it was in there, and when he transferred it, and he went back and checked, it was not there. Is that correct,
Mr.
Mr.
Worthing?
Worthing?
Yes.
How do you know if there were other occasions like this where the computer messed up and left people out?
Well, there's 10,000 entries in the budget, so I'm not aware of any other errors, but if any of y'all find any other errors, we can address them then.
That's not really very reassuring. How were these discovered?
I was reviewing the budget, and it's the same budget all of y'all reviewed, and didn't find the error. The 2 departments affected, they had their own budget. They were responsible for reviewing their own budget. They didn't catch it, so it was a mistake that was made, and it's hard to be 100% accurate and infallible, so it was a mistake I made, and
How were they discovered? I'm still not quite catching that. Somebody didn't get paid?
no, I was just going through the budget, then I noticed that in the position budgets, when I inserted the new employee, the formula didn't pick up that new line, and that total transfers over to the main budget, and it transferred the wrong total.
Doesn't give me very much confidence in our budget process.
Okay, yes. J.P. Duncan.
To have 10,000 entries and only have 2 errors, that doesn't bother me too much. I mean, it's a significant budget, and thank you for catching it, and I'm glad you did as soon as you did. I manage a budget in my work outside of this, and if we only made 2 budgeting errors a year, that would be celebrated. So I move to go ahead and pass item number 10 as well.
We have a motion and a second to pass it on to the quorum court. Is there any other discussion? Okay, Mr. J.P. Pond.
I appreciated what Sam said. I was just gonna tell you that, I thank you for coming forward, catching your own mistake, coming forward, presenting it to us. And overall, I feel more comfortable that you're honest and above board enough to come and tell us instead of waiting until maybe the auditors caught it. And anyhow, I don't really think we should ever create some kind of atmosphere where people are afraid to come before us and tell us they made a mistake. Thank you very much.
Okay, all those in favor of sending 9 on to the quorum court, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. We're now on number 10, which was another mistake in the budget.
We voted on 9 previously. So we voted on
Did
9
we just do 10? We just did 9.
twice.
All right. That'll be double good then, I guess. Okay, let's go on to number 10. If y'all remember that our collector moved one of her positions that from the general fund to an automation fund, and that also did not get moved in the budget. So that was another error. So this is moving 10,000, well, let me get on the correct line, $91,000 actually that's in the general fund will be moved to the automation fund, her automation fund. Are there any questions about this? Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, we should be seeking public comment before we vote on every one of these ordinances per county ordinance, just FYI.
Thank you. All right, is there any other discussion on this? Is there any public comment about either 9 or 10? All right, let's vote on number 10 to send it on to the quorum court. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion passed. All right. Now, there was another error apparently on my part, and that was the computer items in the circuit clerk's budgets. And I thought this had passed. We had voted on it, but I had to talk with Judge Zimmerman about which ones could be deducted from her automation fund. And it's not very much money, but it did not get passed in the budget. And I do not have an ordinance for it tonight because I only became aware of this yesterday. So, I will be working with Judge Zimmerman for us to come and take that money that's coming out of the general fund right now, and it will come out of the circuit clerk's automation fund. So, all right, are there any questions about that? All right, let's move on to number 12. Number 11, well, okay. An ordinance recognizing additional revenue of $10,000 in the Law Enforcement Grant Fund for 2020 and appropriating $10,000 from the Law Enforcement Grant Fund to the ADR grant budget for 2019-2020. This is grant money. It's a state grant money for the sheriff's office. Are there any questions?
I'd move to pass 11.1 until the full quorum court with a due pass recommendation.
Are there, okay. Are there any other questions? All right. Is there any public comment? All those in favor of passing it on to the quorum court, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, we're now on number 12. An ordinance authorizing the county judge to enter into a contract for services with the Association of Arkansas Counties and appropriating $5,874 to be paid for membership therein. This is a normal item that comes up every year. Okay, is there any public comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, we're on number 13. An ordinance appropriating $100,000 from unappropriated reserves in the general fund to the other professional service line items in the quorum court budget for 2020. This was the money that was voted on and appropriated for the judicial study. All right. Are there any questions on this particular ordinance? Are there any public comments? Do I have a motion?
Move to pass.
All right. And I guess I jumped the gun again. So now, are there any public comments? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Passed. An ordinance appropriating $9,045 from unappropriated reserves in the general fund to the jail budget for 2020. Okay, this is the ombudsman study. This. All right. Yes.
It's not the study, it's what was left over that we didn't spend last year.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Discussion, anyone on the court? Public comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. Moving on, and okay, we're on 15. An ordinance anticipating carryover in revenue totaling $405,437.04 in various funds and appropriating $2,378,648.49.03 from the various funds to the various budget line items for 2020. all of these are grants. They are listed in the ordinance on 15.1. And all of those grants total over $2 million.
Move to pass.
All right. Any discussion on the court? Any public comment?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we're anticipating carryover that's more than we're
And revenue.
appropriating. Revenue and carryover.
Right.
Okay, we're just recognizing that, but we're appropriating a less than that amount.
I don't know if that's a scrivener's error or not. I can't answer that question.
What was the question?
They don't match.
No, they don't match.
We're appropriating less, ain't we?
Yeah, I guess we're just saving money.
The animal shelter's left out.
Well, the animal shelter's on here, on the 28 in the ordinance.
Who could answer that for us?
Okay, let's see, two,
Animal shelter's down at 31,000.
Different amounts.
they're different amounts.
Two, 301, 58.
All right,
Oh, that shelter is,
why don't I ask, why don't we go on and pass this on to the quorum court and have this explained to us at the quorum court why there is a difference, or if there's been a mistake, that mistake be corrected. Shannon, can you explain this?
Animal shelter wanted to not appropriate their whole unappropriated reserve balance, and they wanted to save back about 20,000 to spend later. I don't know if they're saving up for a vehicle or what, but that's why
That's the
the
discrepancy.
difference in that one account. So they'll end up with an unappropriated reserve balance of about 20,000 to appropriate later.
Okay. Sounds reasonable to me. I don't know. What's the pleasure of the court? JP? Okay. All those in favor, oh, okay. First, is there any public comment? All right, all those in favor, say yes? Yes. Yay? And all those opposed, no? No? Okay. Okay, I think it passed. All right, now, we're on a resolution, not an ordinance. A resolution authorizing the offering of capital improvement revenue bonds to finance an addition to the juvenile court facility and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto. All of you know that we're gonna have a new circuit juvenile judge, and that person needs a place to preside, to carry on their business. So we need another courtroom. This is the go-ahead for the county judge to get started on that process. And I'm sure any other final decisions or recommendations will then come to the quorum court to be decided. Yes, J.P. Madison.
So I have a number of questions about this. I seem to recall that when Judge Zimmerman came to us requesting some improvements, it was much less than $5.5 million. And I know that we did the build out on Judge Taylor's courtroom for less than $300,000. So I kind of had sticker shock at $5.5 million for this. The second issue is, this seems that it's going to be costing the county because it's anticipating the hiring of Stevens and anticipating the hiring of Friday, Eldridge, and Clark as bond counsel, and says we are going to pay the funds, but we haven't appropriated any money for that. Or there's no indication of how much those, just the administrative costs will be. And then to finance bonds, there has to be a revenue source. So I was curious how we were gonna pay to fund these bonds. I don't know where the revenue source is coming from, because if we have mysterious revenue sources that could support bonds, I'm sure we could all come up with a lot of things to use for them. So I hope someone can offer some
Oh, I don't
insight.
think we have any mysterious revenue sources.
Well, there has to be a revenue source to
Well,
support
I
the
know
bonds.
there is a revenue source, and
What is it?
it's the court's fines and fees that is now paying off the historic courthouse, and those fees can be used for this new court room. That's my understanding. They're gonna have to decide whether to go on and pay that off and renew that, or I'm not sure what the procedure. What I understand about this is that this just gives the go-ahead to get started on this project.
Well, and I understand that, and understand we have to start it, but I seem to recall a lot of times when we were asked to just get started on things, and then we found out we owed lawyers $25,000 or owed bond people. I mean, J.P. Lemming will remember when the Johnson Controls came back to have some expensive fees, and we were told it wouldn't cost anything. So before I can support a resolution issuing bonds in the amount of $5.5 million, I need to know at least some estimate for what we're gonna pay Stevens, what we're gonna pay Friday, Eldridge, and Clark, and to know why the amount of $5.5 million is justified. If we're gonna use the court fines and costs fund to pay for these bonds, then I think we need to be assured in terms of what's remaining on the historic courthouse bonds that fund is currently paying for. I just need a lot more information before I commit $5.5 million in taxpayer funds to a building that I thought was cost less than $1 million. So, thank you,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
I just want to make one comment. This is a resolution. It is not an ordinance. So this can change. I'm assuming that it's going to cost, I hope, less than this. And I do agree with you about the fees for bonds, because we have ended up paying fees that we were not aware of at the time that we had made decisions. Would the judge or Carl like to address this issue?
I agree. It's a resolution. We need more information. We're working with the bond and finance company, so when we get that, we'll share that with you.
Okay, J.P. Madison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have another question. I believe Judge Joanna Taylor's courtroom is across the street hasn't been torn down. I know somebody's occupying it, but there was a courtroom there before she moved to this building. Why would we not put a new judge there?
Well,
I mean, I
if
would
it's
think
gonna, okay.
we could relocate emergency services probably a whole lot easier than we can build a new courtroom.
Okay, J.P. Lemming?
This is the building we're gonna build down at the JDC, isn't it?
Yes,
And they're gonna build it out front. They wanted to put it there because the kids is all there all the time. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay, so it's gonna be a whole building, not just, I can
Well-
see more 5.5 than I can $1 million on a whole building out front. Thank you.
No, I'm not qualified to answer
Build-
that question.
Building is expensive.
You know, we have to have an architect, we have to have, there's a lot of things, and I feel that we need to get started. And I agree with all the concerns that have been mentioned. I agree with those. But I think at the same time, we need to give them the authority to get started. Are there any other comments? Okay, J.P. Duncan.
So this just gives the authority for them to, sorry, I don't know how to stop that. This just gives them the authority to then explore the opportunity, right? I mean, that's all it is. Because we're not appropriating funds, it's a resolution.
No signing contracts, I hope.
Right. So is there a motion on the floor?
No, not yet.
Okay, I move to pass.
Just a minute. Okay, we have a motion on the floor first. Is there a second? All right, all right. Further discussion, J.P. Madison.
I mean, I realize it's a resolution, but it says the offering of bonds is hereby authorized in the maximum principal amount of $5.5 million. So it seems to me more than just a, hey, go out and see what this is gonna be. It says that the quorum court has determined that it is in the best interest of the county to construct and equip an addition to the juvenile court facility to include a new courtroom. That Stevens is authorized to market the bonds. The county judge and other county officials are authorized to cooperate with Stevens as underwriter and Friday as bond counsel. So that costs money right there. And so this is not discretionary and exploratory for me. This is, hey, we want you to go issue bonds for $5.5 million and spend the money on the Friday firm and Stevens without any understanding of what it costs. I mean, we haven't, to my knowledge, we haven't seen plans for the building, and I would think that Buildings and Grounds could help us understand what we're talking about in terms of engineering expenses and things like that before we authorize the issuance of $5.5 million in bonds. So I think we're just a little bit backwards here in terms of what we're doing. This seems like we're authorizing it. So
Unfortunately, I'll have to agree with you on that, because when I read it this afternoon, I thought the same thing, but I had no opportunity to talk with the county judge or Carl about that. But I don't know. It's up to the court to decide what to do.
Motion on the floor.
We've got a motion on the floor. Does the county judge or Carl want to speak to the issue, or just?
What more? When we get more information, we'll bring it. I don't know what more to say.
All right. We have a motion on the floor, and we have a second. All right. We're going to do this by a show of hands. Oh, public comment. Sorry. JP, okay. We've got someone, public comment. That's all right. You state your name, please, and where you're from.
Sarah Moore, Fayetteville, Arkansas. I have a lot of concerns about. I know that we need this new facility. I know that we need space for a new judge, and I respect that there's probably been conversations that we haven't been privy to, that maybe there's some other information that needs to come forward so we can understand. But I would definitely like to see out in the public the exploration of options outside of just one. I would definitely like the exploration of the old Judge Taylor's courtroom and what moving the emergency services would look like. It would be great to hear a discussion on that. I have a lot of concern about bonds, because when we were considering our, I'll look over here. When we were considering the radio vote, that was one of the conversations we had, was whether or not we would do bonds, and we knew that that did cost us more money. And so I'd love to see on an actual piece of paper and like a spreadsheet where it would lay out those different options and those costs before we move this any further forward. I feel like this is the place where we should be discussing that. So I'd really ask that you guys would stop for a minute, take a breath, and let's get that information. And I know that we have a judge coming in January, so I know, again, we feel pressure and we have to get moving. So obviously I'd love to make this go as fast as possible, but I'd also like to make sure that $5 million is a lot of money, and I really want us to be real thoughtful in how we proceed. Thank you.
All right, JP Pond.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I just wanted to comment that I am comfortable with the knowledge that we have a spare courtroom, right up here, catty-cornered from this building, in the Terminella building. Also, I do know for efficiency of operation, we need that courtroom built down there on site to eliminate all the transport back and forth, up and down the hill and all that sort of thing. There's security issues and everything else. And I did make the second, but, I'm kinda thinking I might wanna withdraw my second until some of these concerns are met. Even though I say I'm concerned, I'm comfortable with the existing courthouse we're not using, I'm still saying we need that new courtroom down there at the South Campus at the JDC. Thank you.
Well, would you, he withdrew the second. Is there another second? If,
But we didn't finish public comment.
okay, just a minute.
If we're not gonna vote, you
I got, anyway, okay. Right now, the motion's dead because it doesn't have a second. All right, public comment. Please state your name and where you're from.
Thank you very much. My name is Beth Koger. I'm from Fayetteville. I just want to say what J.P. Madison just said about what it states in the ordinance about is authorized, and I don't understand why it's a resolution. Although I'm big on resolutions, I don't understand why it's a resolution instead of an ordinance. But it seems to give the same power that an ordinance would give. I don't understand that. And again, I have to say, where do we come up with 5.5 million? I'm always asking that. These numbers are just thrown out. So we need information on how we came up with 5.5 million, what it's going to cover, and I would ask that this does not go any farther until we have more information, because I've been here in this chair. I've seen how many times we get blindsided by lawyer fees and things like the Johnson Controls stuff. And that's what happens when we don't have enough information. Thank you.
I will make a comment. That I did ask that we look at other options besides bonds, and we found out that we legally cannot borrow money from the bank and use our stream of revenue to pay it off. So apparently that's not an option. So, that's all the information I have. All right, if we don't have a second, then it's dead. So, okay, we're ready. Okay, public comment. We're ready for the end of the Finance Budget Committee's public comment. 15 minutes, 3 minutes per person. Are there any comments? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
We are adjourned.